Welcome to another episode that promises to be highly questionable. This person over here is a fan of the broken Seattle Seahawks. Mina Kimes, what do you like on the show today, Mina?
What does that have to do with anything we're going to talk about today?
Nale Papi.
Will you see Drew Brees on the same level as Peyton Manning and Brett Favre?
Drew Brees is an old man. He has a completion percentage of 78% this year. You can make the argument that in the history of the sport, he's mastered the position as well as anyone has ever mastered the position. Also, though, he's never won an MVP. He's never been considered the best player in the league. These guys were. He was not.
So a lot of times in sports, when we talk about great athletes, we tend to use the same words to the point where it kind of becomes a cliche. Like Tom Brady has a chip on his shoulder because he was drafted in the 6th round. Bet you didn't know that. Mike Trout, no one really talks about him, even though we're always talking about how no one talks about him. Anyways, these are cliches because they're kind of true. So let me be the 1,000th person today to tell you that Drew Brees is underrated. And Dan's correct. He's never won MVP, even though he has led the league 7 times in passing. So yes, I do think he's caught up to Brett Favre. He has surpassed him in just about every measure aside from interceptions. And he's on his way to catching up with Manning too. And if he can win one more Super Bowl, then he definitely belongs in the GOAT conversation.
You know, this guy, he should have been a Dolphin, you know what I mean?
Oh, that's true.
How did the Dolphins said pass on this guy?
Would still be a Dolphin if they had just chosen him over Culpepper.
That's right.
That's right there. The face of Dolphin frustration for the last 15 years.
So you know if he was on the Dolphins, he would have been bad.
Did the Saints prove themselves to be real contenders in the NFC?
We can't come to many consensuses about who is good or who is bad in football before a season. But so far, 5 games in, I feel like we all know that the Rams and Chiefs seem like they might be a little bit better than everyone else. And neither one of them would want to see this team in the playoffs. Not in a dome, not anywhere, because Drew Brees and these skill guys are scary. And in a one-game sample, they can beat anybody. Their defense is weak. That offense is never going to be weak if it's healthy.
Yeah, so you know how earlier I said Drew Brees was underrated? I know you never heard that before. So part of the reason why he's underrated is because for many years, despite his sustained and consistent excellence, he was on Saints teams with defenses that were, to put it kindly, completely trash, right? And then last year, they looked pretty good. And they come out the gate, first game of the season, they give up 48 points to the Bucs. So what was promising for me last night wasn't the offense exploding, which we've come to expect from Brees. No, it was that the defense looked competent. They rushed the passer and they covered. And if they can just be average going forward, then Drew Brees can drag this team to the Super Bowl.
The thing that makes it confusing, though, is that they were playing against Alex Smith. And sometimes Alex Smith will be super conservative and make a defense that isn't actually any good look a lot better than it is.
I don't know if they will make the Super Bowl, but I know one thing. They are way better than the Seahawks.
Wow, that was gratuitous and totally true. Accurate as well.
So random and unnecessary.
Tell me where the lies were. Tell me.
Would it make sense for the Eagles to go after Le'Veon Bell?
Man, it would make sense for every team in the sport to go after Le'Veon Bell. He's one of the most multi-talented people in the league. They're always looking to upgrade. We know they're good enough to win the championship. They've got many of the same pieces. They just lost Jay Ajayi. What's better than Le'Veon Bell? You're not going to be able to find anything better than that anywhere else. Of course, you try to make your team that kind of better.
So it doesn't make sense for every team to go after Le'Veon Bell, but I think it does make sense for Philadelphia, because here's the thing. They're not paying him in the long term. This is a team that ranks 32nd in cap space next season. So this would be a 1-year rental. They'd probably have to give up a 2nd or 3rd round draft pick. But I do think it would be worth it, not just because they need an every down back and because the offense, frankly, needs some sort of spark, but because this division is terrible. They can run away with it, and they need to take advantage of Carson Wentz's rookie contract and do everything they can to get back to the Super Bowl while it's easy for them to do so.
He should demand a trade to the Eagles just before Week 9.
Why is that?
Because that's their bye week, you know what I mean?
Oh, the
that's
Eagles
right.
bye week.
That's right.
That's right. Report for Week 7, get the bye week money from the Steelers, and then trade him over there for the bye week in Week 9. My father's thinking like a thief.
Yeah, you should keep going. Find the next bye week, then the next bye week, then the next bye week. He might not even have to play this season.
You got it. That's the way to do it. Is Tom Brady right that the NFL is now just glorified college football?
What he is saying is it's not as physical as it used to be, that it's a game about spacing like college football. He's seeing some plays that he's seen in college football that are now making their ways to the pros, and it wasn't like that when he started. He's been playing this kind of football for a long time, more precise than just about anybody, and what he's speaking of here is the truth. If you eliminate the physicality, you're playing angles, and that's what a lot of quarterbacks in the league are doing, with guys that are covered all over the place, just throwing it to a space.
So he is absolutely right. The game is changing, not just because of the trickle up of college offenses, coordinators using pre-snap motion to confuse defenses, which makes guys open and creates the space he's talking about, but also because of the changing rules. Not just roughing the passer, but the increase in illegal contact, even the helmet rule, which hasn't really been enforced, but is deterring guys from hitting across the middle. Now, he said this in the context of talking about Patrick Mahomes and how things are a little bit easier these days for quarterbacks coming into the league. You know, which is true, but things were easier in 2007 than they were in 1997, and they were easier in 1997 than they were in 1987. And here's the thing. All of these rules need to change in the NFL. They're going to make it so that Tom Brady can keep playing for a very long time.
And this is an added bonus, by the way, and this is making people like Troy Aikman insane, speaking to her evolution of the sport. He only threw 20 touchdown passes in a season once. Ryan Fitzpatrick has more touchdown passes by a lot than Troy Aikman. The game keeps changing.
Do college teams deflate footballs too?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A deflated football joke was our only option there. Really?
Yeah.
We could have gone spying on other teams too, right? Or tiny wide receivers who get suspended for steroids.
Who had the rougher night, the Yankees or Angel Hernandez?
The Yankees are on the brink of elimination after losing 16-1. A lot of noise in New York after some mismanagement of the pitching staff. But Angel Hernandez, there was a time in life where there were many famous Major League umpires that had been around for a long time, famous for being good at their jobs. The reason I know this guy's name is because of how much baseball players dislike this umpire. Chipper Jones, Paul LaDuca, very comfortable criticizing the competence of this umpire. And then last night, even though the calls didn't much matter because of the lopsided score, he missed his 3 of 4 and might have been 4 of 4. Awful night for a guy who's got a lawsuit for discrimination against not being allowed to do Major League games during the postseason.
Yeah, so Hernandez went 1 for 4, which is not great, though it is better than the majority of the Yankees hitters. And look, I actually think he kind of got away with something last night, because if you're going to show up to your job and be terrible, you want to be surrounded by people who are worse than you, if you know what I'm saying. So that the next day, instead of talking about you, everybody's talking about
the what? We're worse at our job than she is? And she can't even say things without cursing? Really?
The mess around you. Because
this segment's over. We're going to the next one.
Because everyone today
Gone. She said no chances at this after telling us she's better at the job than we are. That's how we're ending the segment. Don't let her talk anymore.
They both lost.
I can say, wait, you think that was bad last night? Wait until tonight. He's behind the plate. Watch out.
Is he?
He's behind the plate.
Oh, no. Oh,
yeah,
no.
That's right.
Oh, no.
That happened.
Coming up next on Highly Questionable.
Ooh.
Mina fancies herself an excellent ping pong player.
How is he? Wait.
Oh, he's got big
How
hands.
is he holding that basketball?
Big hands. He's
But
got
I don't
big
care
hands.
if you have big hands.
What is that, a black lab? Is that a puppy? A black lab puppy?
It doesn't matter.
My Son's TV show is brought to you by Sick Recruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Liberty